Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us for the Seed Formula Summit. We're delighted to have a fantastic audience in the room and, of course, yourselves that are online. First and foremost, I'd like to say a huge thank you to LEDCOM for supporting the program and providing the space today. So I'm going to hand over quickly to Ken Nelson, CEO, to share a few words. Thank you.
And echo Shirley's welcome to everyone who's here in person at Willowbank Business Park, and to our online audience, which is right across Northern Ireland. You're very welcome. Great to see you, or great to hear from you. We're delighted from a LEDCOM perspective to be involved in this event. LEDCOM is a business enterprise centre. We've been on the go for 35 years. Over those 35 years, we've literally worked with thousands of individuals who've wanted to take forward their ideas and see where they can go on the enterprise and business support journey. And along with our Enterprise NI members right across Northern Ireland, we all try and give you the support that you need, be it at the pre-startup stage, to the startup stage, to the scale-up stage. We have a powerful blend of support from advice, information, signposting, networking, business planning, and then if you need workspace, from hot desking and co-working right through to startup space and scale-up space, the full blend of support that we can provide as an enterprise centre. So we're delighted to be hosting this today in Willowbank Business Park, which is in a rural area. I'm from a rural area myself. In my family, I have 4 daughters and my wife, and a number of those are certainly either they have their own rural business or they're interested in setting up their own rural business. And we're absolutely delighted to be partnering with Shirley Palmer and the Simple Series. It's great to have the support from the Ulster Bank as well. And I know John Ferris is going to join us later. And as you work through all of these issues, this is about helping you turn your dreams of being your own boss into reality, but doing it in a way that it can be successful and sustainable. I've often heard the phrase, how do we turn ideas into invoices? And the support that you're going to get through the Simple Series, and then the support that we can provide in LEDCOM and our Enterprise NI members, that's the help that we can give you, is to take forward your ideas and to be able to turn those into invoices. So we're really looking forward to the summit. We're looking forward to the program, and we wish you all great success today and through the rest of the program. And Shirley, I'm going to hand back to you. So welcome and thank you.
This is where you get to deal with the hot seat, as they say, jumping from one seat to the other. So next, ladies and gents, I would like to introduce John Ferris. Today would not be possible if it was not for Ulster Bank and their support. I have had the opportunity to meet John a couple of years ago, and we've stayed in touch when I understood that this year they were looking at various programs to support underprivileged people. For me, rural women was a really important topic. As a farmer's daughter who flew the nest, shall we say, at 21, spent a number of years in private equity in London, has since lived in California and more recently moved back home. It's a joy to be able to support rural women, empowering them to look at how they can support their families better, greater independence, and really look at supporting the economy with fantastic new business. John, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity and the grant to support us. We'd love to hear a little bit more from you, please.
No problem. Thanks, Shirley. Really great to be here today. I wish I was there in person, but yeah, these hybrid things are wonderful. So I just wanted to start and talk a little bit about when the Rose Review into female entrepreneurship was carried out by our CEO nearly 3 years ago now. I guess little did we know at that point how life could change and would change for all of us. At the time, we'd launched a partnership with Crowdfunder to match fund millions of pounds to support women starting a business for the very first time. And more importantly for me, we also committed to funding local organisations like LEDCOM and Shirley's organisations to run programmes to support more women to start a business. And we purposely looked out for organisations that had the same desire and passion as we do to help support and change the stats around female entrepreneurship around the country. This is the 3rd year that we've provided that funding, and so far the organisations we've worked with, no pressure Shirley and the team, but I've already supported more than 1,500 women, which is phenomenal. But since then, things have become more challenging, and nobody needs a middle-aged white guy to harp on about the challenges that you face. But 71% of women founders found managing their business stressful during the pandemic. And so it's never been more important to put the support structures in place that come with the seed formula and other programs to help early stage entrepreneurs to get to where they want to go. So we at Ulster are delighted to partner with Shirley and Ken to support more of you to start your business and to help you on that journey. And you're definitely in very safe and experienced hands. And the journey to start a business is always very daunting, but it also comes with excitement and a huge amount of reward. And the one thing I'd say to remember is that you're not alone. Whether it's the 1,500 other women who've been through this in the past couple of years, myself and the team at Ulster Bank, Shirley, Ken and their teams, we're all here to help you on that journey. You're not alone. So if you heed one piece of advice today from anyone, it's this: never be shy in asking for what help you need, because there are so many people out there who are only too willing to support. So if you think you need help, pick up the phone and ask. My details are easy to find. I'm all over Twitter and LinkedIn and everywhere else, and I'll put my contact details in the chat. So I look forward to hearing about the amazing success stories that you're all going to have ahead of you. And thanks, back to you, Shirley.
So you've had a fantastic startup here with Ken sharing a little bit more about LEDCom, what they've done. And again, great to have some of the team here with us today. And hopefully later we'll maybe hear a few words from Catherine as well. Our emphasis really was around how can we support you and what's the best possible way to support you. So what I'd like to do now is just share a little bit more about the concept of the program, why we chose to build it, how it can support you in the best possible way, and hoping that at the end of this, you decide to put an application in. Now, we have some fantastic ladies in the room who has already gone through their application and have already got a big tick saying yes. So we hopefully we'll hear a few words from some of those about why they've chosen to be here today and what that looks like. So, seed formula. Well, we can't really be in the rural countryside without thinking about seeds, right? Growing that seed, that idea, that concept, that's something that you've often thought about and how that might be. It's a quick snapshot on our agenda for today. So I will briefly talk through the seed formula, and then we've got the opportunity to speak to lovely Rachel sitting on my left. Pamela will be joining us online, and in our panel later, we'll have a few extra people joining us. When it comes to our coffee and breakout sessions, for those of you that are online, we will have some fun, quirky questions for you to be able to enjoy whilst the rest of us here have a little coffee break. So the seed formula really is, as it says, a quick, simple, easy formula to help you get that business launched that you've been thinking about. You've got the opportunity to join us at the end of September for the program itself. We will run over the course of the next few months and complete by the end of December. Part of the program will give you access to a membership platform, and that will run into January. So you will have, over that Christmas period, the New Year period, you will still have some added support and leverage throughout that, and we'll look beyond that at what else is also possible. So you might be struggling with a concept and idea, you might be lacking clarity, confidence, maybe courage, maybe direction, and you're looking for that knowledge and guidance. Well, you've definitely came to the right place, because with my team's expertise, you will learn everything that you need to know about business and getting it up and running. It doesn't matter what sector you're in. The sector is agnostic from a viewpoint of every business starts with the why. Who are you? Why are you doing it? What's the importance for you of doing it? So what I want to hear is I want to hear those stories. Why is it you're wanting to set up the business? Because any business that's set up from purpose and passion will succeed. You might want to craft that idea. You might want to build a brand. You might want to create more freedom for yourself, for your family. You might want to get rid of that stress, those anxieties, those fears. Maybe you no longer want to do the 9 to 5. Maybe you want added flexibility and freedom in order to be flexible with how you work. Maybe you've got young children. Maybe you've got other added interests that need you outside the normal remit of timing. So if you've dreamed of being your own boss, this is the opportunity for you to gain success without any limitations whatsoever. We will help guide you through mindset, through building the business, through the marketing, through the sales, through positioning, through branding. There is, dare I say, about 60 different sections and topics through the program, which sounds horrendous, but having already done this with several groups of people, I know the success that's achievable at the end of it. As I said, it's a program. We marry up a membership package as well. The membership will give you access to added online training, added events, networking events in person where possible. I appreciate some of you have traveled quite some distance today. So thank you again for making that journey to here. The program itself, can you move me over, please? Thank you very much, Roy. The benefits of having your AV guy in the room, which is fantastic. So what you will learn, this gives you a quick snapshot of really what you're going to learn through the process. So we'll be looking at planning for business. So I said, we start with that why, the drive, the passion, the concept, the idea, planning for business and really looking at it, what it is that you're wanting to plan, identifying your products or services. So you may be like Martin, who has just opened up an online baby clothes shop. So for him, it's all about the products. For Denise in the room, who is doing tutoring, correct? That will be about providing the service. So thinking about what is your product, what is your service? Is there an opportunity there to marry any of that up with a passive income? There's always going to be a disparity with what is possible. So don't think, oh, I only provide products or I only provide services. You might find you have a marry of both. We'll look at your customers, helping you identify who your customer is, acknowledging that avatar, who are they, where are they, what do they like, how do they spend their money, why would they come to you, why are you different, what does that look like? Back to basics in business. So going through the basic business process to make sure that you've got things up and running the way you need it. So deciphering whether you want to be a sole trader, limited company, a limited liability partnership, a partnership. I know we've got some ladies in the group who are considering marrying up and working together, so they may decide on a partnership rather than a limited company to start with. Recognizing your insurance, all those very basic things that you think about. Now, a lot of people will come to the audience and go, oh, I need to go build my website. No, we work on getting your presence right first, getting your message right first, getting your brand right first, and then being able to support you with the website and everything else. We want to make sure you spend as little money as possible to get you up and running as quickly and efficiently as possible. Sales, talk through the sales process, the sales target. We'll help you look at the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Likewise with your marketing, who you're marketing to and addressing that. Likewise with your finances, putting a budget in place and expanding beyond that. Now, some of you may have bigger ideas. Some of you may have bigger dreams. Some of you might need funding to start. Some of you might need large chunks of funding to start. And that may mean an opportunity to position your project to a bank or to another third party. In those cases, you're going to need the likes of a business plan. So LEDCOM's got a fantastic process by which you can come along, meet one of their team, and they can go through and help you with the business plan. So this is very much working in a collaborative way to support you with all access to all possible connections, links, added support that we can bring to the table to support you through this. Business resources, again, as it simply says, what other resources are you going to need and what that's going to look like? Added support, again, recognizing how you're collaborating with your peers, your mentors, getting support from your family, your community, and then lastly, we'll be looking at the future and identifying what that looks like for you. By the end of the program, we anticipate that you will have the next year played out. You will have an indication what that looks like, and equally so, we'll have you up and running and having some money in the bank. We end it with a lovely recap and also a celebration. So for me, starting a business is like birthing a new baby. So we often talk about baby showers, we often talk about birthday celebrations, but I think it's always really important to celebrate a new business. So a great way to be able to celebrate your successes with your friends and your family in the process too. Here's 3 fantastic ladies that have worked with me in the past. And as you can see, Claire says, it provided me with direction when I felt unsure, lost my way and confidence. Claire has a fantastic training company that focuses on health and safety. Steph says, I've gained, learned and built so many valuable skills during the time in the course. I couldn't recommend it enough. Steph actually has a side hustle and a full-time job, and her side hustle's in the beauty industry, and she's looking at hopefully taking that to a full-time stance as well. Fiona, this has given me the tools and confidence to begin my journey into being a business owner. I've been able to take my ideas and start turning them into reality. Shirley has a wealth of knowledge and is incredibly supportive and positive. Fiona is working full-time, and she's also building her mental health business to support teenagers. So don't think that, oh, but I'm working full-time, I can't do something else. If you've got that concept or idea in the back of your head, if it's been something you've been constantly mulling over and thinking about and saying, oh, I must try this, and you keep putting it off, or you keep procrastinating, you keep finding an excuse, now's the time to bring it to the table. Bring it to the table, let's come and chat, book in an appointment with us, and we can help put you on that track. What you will also get, I touched on this a little bit earlier, added bonuses or added workshops, networking and speaker events. We have a phenomenal list of speakers of other business women throughout Northern Ireland that have already agreed to share their knowledge, share some of their expertise, and they will tell you their trials and tribulations through that. People need to understand there's going to be tough times, there's going to be great times, but it's getting through the other side of those, and we'll get to learn how they did some of those. There'll be networking events, and as I said, added workshops. We'll evaluate through the process what's the specifics of extras that you need. You're also getting a habit tracker, so that really gets you to focus on how you spend your time primarily. And anything else, a weekly planner again, but the weekly planner will keep you on track from our weekly sessions on the program, the mentoring sessions as well. And then we have a private Facebook group where you can get support as well. So quick snapshot one more time on what you're actually getting. Obviously, you've all joined the summit today. Anybody who hasn't been able to join the summit, or if you have friends that you think might have benefited from this, do let us know afterwards, because as you know, we are recording it. We'll be sending some snapshots out and happy to share that with everybody else. There's a guidebook for the program itself. You will have live video training sessions on Zoom over the course of the 12 weeks. The same with the mentoring sessions, which are drop-in sessions. So you can literally come along, you've got an issue with your homework, something that you're not quite sure, another business angle or question that you have, get it addressed. So you can literally drop in, drop out. You can stay for as long or as little time you like. It's entirely up to you. Homework lessons I've just touched on. The members area we've talked about, where you're getting the added bonuses, and the bonus planner, habit tracker, Facebook group. And then we'll be doing a finale in December. So that will be something to look forward to. So now I think it's time to hand over and start talking to our wonderful Rachel. So Rachel, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think I got to learn about Rachel through the IOD. And I think Rachel did a fantastic presentation and also won an award at that as well, I believe. And I was very inspired by her journey, what she'd done, what she'd built, and the fact that she's marrying two of her passions together. So Rachel, tell us a little bit about Stable Manager.
Yes, so first of all, thanks very much for having me today. It's great to be here, especially in person. So yeah, I'm Rachel. I'm the CEO and founder of Stable Manager. I'm a software engineer and a Grand Prix dressage rider, and I sort of married those two passions together to create my own business. So I've built the platform, and it's a platform of mobile and web apps which help horse owners look after their horses and connect them with the equine businesses when they need them most. So we can spend less time sitting trolling through paperwork and more time actually spend time with our horses.
And am I right in saying that you're looking at expanding it out as well to animals?
Wink, wink.
Fantastic. Given that I'm a proud owner of a new little pup, I'm excited to see what else you're bringing to the platform in that one as well. So what was a key thing that inspired you to build the business?
So I've been involved with horses for over 16 years now. I've worked on yards, all from local yards in Northern Ireland, all the way up to international yards with horses worth millions. And the thing that always stuck out to me was not only is it very difficult as a horse owner where I only have one to juggle all the worming, shoeing, veterinary, physio, dentist, etc. Whenever you're running a yard with, you could have 500 horses on a yard and some of them are worth millions. It's all being done in your head, on paper, maybe the notes app on your phone. And there's countless times where the wrong medication's been given, or a horse has missed an appointment, or for example, my horse, she had to have spinal surgery about 3-4 years ago now, and she went to a specialist down south. But whenever she came back up home, there was no way to actually connect with the physios, the saddle fitters, the farriers that were needed for ongoing rehab. So it was all on me to try and troll pieces of paper and hand over the correct information. And I'm not a vet, so this is why I wanted to build Stable Manager. I call it the Equine Worlds Hub because it's one place where you can store all the information that you need for your horses and just make your life a bit easier. Give you the information where you need it, which is in the palm of your hand, on your phone or on your laptop, not in a filing cabinet in the office somewhere.
So given that we've got a lovely room full of people here aspiring to start a business, or they've literally just started a business, and likewise with the various different individuals online, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them about starting a business?
I think it's the authenticity piece where it's going to be hard. There's no beating around the bush. It's going to be really tough. It's going to maybe you're going to drop your income for a bit before you move on, or maybe it's going to take up all your evenings and weekends for a bit before you move on. But if you stay authentic to why you started the business, why you're passionate about it, it shines through. You can have the best website in the world, you could have professional photo shoots, you could have all this, but if you don't have that authenticity piece of I've started this business because I'm passionate about whatever it is, I think that shines through. And as we said earlier, there's so many platforms out there. There's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's all your social media that are very low cost. And I think just having that passion for what you are passionate about really shines through, and that'll help get you through the long nights and early mornings, and in my case, staring at a laptop for 12 hours a day.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm sure everybody appreciates those insights for sure. So is there a particular aha moment that suddenly made you go, I've really got to take this leap of faith. I've really got to jump in. I've got to start focusing on my business rather than your work that you were doing to support others, because you still do support other customers.
Yeah, so I previously, as I said, worked as a software engineer. So I graduated from university. To be honest, I've been thinking about Stable Manager since 2015 and just went, oh no, I'm not ready. I'll wait till I get my degree and then I'll have, you know, the skills. And then you graduate and you go, oh, well, maybe I should get some real world experience. And then you're working for a while, and the more you learn that you don't know. So it was always, oh, I'll wait. And then one day I was just like, this is something I'm really passionate about. You know, even whenever I was in my software engineering role, I was like, it'd be really cool if it could do this. It could be really cool if the platform could do this. But, you know, I was there to build what had been designed. And I went, you know what, I just need to go and do this. And it was August last year that I just sort of made the leap. And I always say it's a bit like, you know, jumping off a cliff and hoping that your parachute works, because I didn't have it all figured out. But over the following couple of months, it came together. And, you know, I'm now in the position I'm in. I'm very lucky to be at this full time. And yeah, I've never been happier. Probably, you know, have a few greys going on here somewhere, but definitely I'm really much happier.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. So the lovely Pamela Lilburn was hoping to join us in person today. And Pamela is going to join us quickly now in part of that conversation and understand a little bit more about her. Good morning, Pamela. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. And sorry I can't be there in person, but it is lovely to be online with you guys.
Well, you're with us in spirit, and that's the most important thing. Thank you for joining us. Pamela, would you, for the audience, both online and in person, would you just share a little bit about your background and the community that you came from? Because we're sitting here in Ledcom in Larne, not so far afield from where you were born, and you've now joined into the country life and a serial entrepreneur.
Yes, so I was born in Larne, so yeah, just around the corner. Moved out to the countryside, Carnalbina, a few years. I think I was just starting primary school whenever we ventured out in there, and the love of the countryside just yeah, just kind of took over me. And my mum and dad always said that they thought I would marry a farmer. I was a country girl at heart, and so here I am today, married to a dairy farmer and now living in Moira. I am, again, as I said, not from a farming background, was not brought up in a farming background, but I'm an accountant as a career choice. And but we have 3 young children now, and I always knew that I could do accountancy, but I needed a place at home. It is hard work keeping 3 young children, and when you are trying to work full-time or part-time, childcare costs are extreme. And when you're married again to a dairy farmer who is working all the crazy hours, a lot of kind of the home life it fell to me, and I needed to try and find the balance. And with working in employment, I just wasn't able to do that. And for kind of the last couple of years, I have been toying back and forth about, like, I needed to find a way home. But as much as I love my children, did not, you know, the being a home parent or being, you know, with the kids that full time, and that wasn't for me. I knew that my kids are going to grow up, and I need to make sure that I still have something there for me at the end of that. And so Richard had this wonderful idea of we are dairy farmers, we have an amazing product. Why can we not get that product directly out to our customers? And so that is whenever we looked into our business in Brookvale Farm. It's just milk, and that is exactly what it is. We started in February 2015, a milk vending machine here on the farm, and it is my 4th baby, and that was my way home. And yeah, I am trying to muddle my way through being at home, still obviously get to be here with the kids and stuff, but still have that something that I can focus on, and that's Pamela, you know, being able to do that. That's not mum. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So I think it's fair to say that your priorities obviously changed over a period of time, and therefore it was readdressing what was of the most importance and how could you position yourself. So knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would have done differently when you first started out?
I would have took the leap sooner. I really did. I like backtracked forth and back and forth. Should I do this? Should we do this? Is this right? But now that we have taken that leap, I really do wish we had have done it sooner. I think COVID, I think, played a help in giving me that push, because I was at home more with the kids. I was able to kind of use some of that time to look more into where I could be using myself. And yeah, it definitely gave me the push to be like, right, okay, I just need to take this leap. And definitely now where we're at now, I know that the market is there for our product. What we are doing, like, we have already grown incredibly from February. And I think you just need to have that confidence in yourself. And I wish I'd have had that sooner.
Two great pieces of advice, one of confidence and one of always end up starting sooner rather than later. If there was one added piece of advice that you could give to anybody else in the room about becoming an entrepreneur, what might that be?
I think it probably leads back to just believing in yourself. Take that leap. If you have that idea, like Rachel had mentioned this as well, you're always having that idea, but if you are passionate about something, passion, it drives you, and that is what drives me. Like, I think you just have to have that confidence and take that leap and just believe in yourself and surround yourself with people who will push you and who will give you that support that you need. I think it's really important to have a support network. Like, my husband has stood alongside me. Yes, he is so busy doing other things, but he knew this is something deep down that I wanted to do. I wanted to come home to be able to provide a support network for my family, but also have something then that I could still be Pamela. So yeah, surround yourself with people that are encouraging to you, and just go for it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm just going to hand back to Rachel here for a moment and ask the question, what is your definition of success? Because I think this is a big word that gets bandied around, and I think most people tend to put the definition of success from a monetary perspective. And I'd just love to understand a little bit about what you think what success is for you.
This is a philosophical one. I like it. I'd say, to be honest, for me, success is freedom, in that freedom to do what you want to do. So it's freedom to, obviously financial freedom comes into it, where you're not scrapping every penny and you're able to get by and live a comfortable lifestyle. But for me, it's the freedom to be able to, pursue the business that I wanted to pursue, the freedom to, I have a software platform. So whenever I want to add functionality to it, I'm like, oh, it'd be great if I could do this. I can. And like, it comes for product businesses as well. Like, I'm in a community of a lot of equestrian product owners. And like, that's what they say is like, clothing brands. Oh, I just love that I could bring out this range that was in this shades or tie-dye or whatever's in at the minute. And that, to me, success is being able to like wake up in the morning and do things that you're really passionate about. And there's a lot of less glamorous side to it too, where, nobody really likes sitting down staring at a spreadsheet for hours, but you know that you're doing it to get to where you want to be. Or you go, well, when this is done, I'll be able to submit it and I'll be able to push forward with my business, or, in life, because at the end of the day, like, we do need to live our lives. I'm competing my horse Grand Prix level, which was always a dream of mine. And she's a wee Irish horse. And I'm a wee Irish lass. So being able to just pursue those things has been really, really changing for me.
Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. Pamela, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think personal satisfaction, monetary, everybody thinks, oh, this big successful business, the pounds are rolling in. That's not, I think to myself, that's not what it's all about. It's about finding that balance, and about being just satisfied where you are. Yes, obviously, if you're able to have an income from that, but it's finding what's right for you as a person and getting to that level of life that you're comfortable with. Yes, you still want to obviously continue to push yourself, but just having that real, everybody talks about it, that work-life balance. And I think in the world we're living in now, that's what everybody's striving for. It's not all work and no play. You have to have a life outside of work. And if you can do that with your own business, then I think that is success.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. I think we can all say safely that the last 2 years has given us all a huge wake-up call to really recognize what's important in our life, who's important in our life, and how do we spend that 24 hours? So I love the fact that you've both touched on very important factors in surrounding yourselves with the right people that are going to support you, encourage you, empower you, and really get you to live those dreams. We at the Seed Formula, under the Seed Formula, and we at Simple Series will be helping you really harness your why, the importance of your why, because I'm a great believer over the years, the various different people that I've met or worked with, many multimillionaires and billionaires, and you might be deceived in thinking that some of those people are the happiest in the world. They're not. So money doesn't bring you the happiness factor for sure, but what it does do is it gives you the ability to choose more about how you want to spend your time. So building from a passion, from a drive, pulling in that resilience and tenacity, knowing it's something that you really want to do makes all the difference to achieving that success for sure. So Rachel, just over to you again. What is it that you've enjoyed about setting up your own company? What's the fun bits?
Fun bits. Well, no, I'm only joking. No, definitely. It's having that control over the vision, so I'm a software engineer by, I've got a degree in computer science and I've worked in software engineering, but I always wanted to, also work in product and also be in charge of, marketing and social media and all these things. And being in the sort of CEO role means that you can put procedures in place. Now, I'm a sole founder at the moment. There will be a point where obviously I need to hire and scale, but having that control to do something you're passionate about and make a difference, I think that's the thing that really excites me. And there's been things along the way, like I've met some really amazing people. I've done things that I never thought I would do before. I've pitched in front of real industry leaders, and you just get really connected. And as we were saying earlier, meeting people who are doing the same thing, even if it's not the same business, but the same, we're all entrepreneurs, you find yourself in this real community of people who get it. And I think that's been really eye-opening.
Fantastic, thank you. Pamela, we might, well, many people in the room either would know you or have seen you or heard of you through Countryfile, and as an avid watcher, we got the tail ends on a little snippet last week to say that you're definitely going to be on this Sunday. Tell us a little bit about the story, how you and the family ended up on Countryfile, and do you find that fun, or is it actually really quite stressful?
It has been the most incredible experience. We could never have imagined being approached to be Countryfile's farm for a year, and it comes with, obviously it's good points and it's bad points. Obviously farming, you can showcase it all. Everybody will always have their own opinions, so it has been amazing to be a part of the show. It's been amazing to showcase our business. Obviously, we only started in February and the first episode went out in April. So to have that launch of what we were doing and that, in the people's eye, it was incredible for our business. What goes on in the background is quite stressful. It's not all pretty and plain sailing. It is long days with the filming and the crew, but it is so exhilarating. Us as a family, my children getting to be involved, it's incredible. And we possibly would never have had that opportunity had we not have been launching the vending machine kind of height of COVID, and Countryfile wanted to follow along with that. But it has been an amazing experience. We have met so many amazing people, but it's hard work, but seeing yourself on the TV, and not just ourselves, but our business and our fourth baby is incredible. And the feedback we have had from that, and obviously I mentioned then last night we held an event with the Armagh Food and Cider Festival, and that came off the back of them seeing us and us being involved with Countryfile. So it opens up so many avenues. So yes, it is all a bit crazy when it's happening and filming is happening, but it has been, yeah, a wonderful experience and something that I would never been involved with if I had been sitting as my little accountant self behind a desk. So yeah, really thankful for the opportunity they've given us as well.
So you talked there about some of the stressful situations. How do you manage that as a young mum running a business, knowing that you've got all this added filming to deal with for the rest of the year? How do you manage your stress?
Step outside and scream. No. Sometimes you just have to realize when it gets to a point, you know, you're not in control of everything. And I think once you can accept that and say, right, okay, like I need a little bit of help here, or I'm not sure what's going on, you know, this is all getting a little bit too much. And I think it's being able to say that it gets a little bit too much sometime, and again, surrounding yourself with that support network. So obviously my husband, my kids, my mother and father-in-law have all been involved. So we are a real tight-knit team here on the farm. We really do operate as a team. And I think it really comes back to that and being able to sit down and talk through all of your stresses. You know, okay, so where are we going next, or where do we need to be going? And having just using your voice and not being scared to say, right, okay, this is all a bit much. We need to take a little step back. And as I say, in terms of Countryfile, like they are fantastic. You know, they're always there to answer, you know, any questions, or, you know, talk about any, you know, stresses or things. But we are still running a business in the background. And at the very start, I think I'll say it, like I think they kind of forgot that. You know, they were obviously they knew what they had to get done, but I had to be quite forthcoming and be like, right, I'm still running a business here. You have to work with me. And I think once I put on my big girl pants and said that to them, then they were like, right, okay, yes, maybe we were kind of being a bit overpowering and, you know, kind of going a bit overboard. So it brought us all back in line as to where we needed to be. And I think it's important to realize and to stand up if you have something to say, and be able to say it and feel comfortable to be able to say it. So yeah, it does get stressful, but you know, and finding your way. Obviously, everybody deals with stress differently, and it is so important to find how you can manage your stress levels. And I think if you do that at the outset, then if you ever do get into a heightened stress, you know, levels or whatever, you'll know then how to kind of bring yourself back down. And I think it's a really important, you know, tactic to use.
Thank you, Pamela. Really important and valuable points there. The key, again, is just reminding yourself, we all have the same 24 hours every day. Yes, you have X, Y, and Z to get done. Yes, there's always tomorrow or mañana. But working and focusing on what are the core things that need to be done today. So as some of you start to grow your business, or maybe you've just started, those first hires are going to be really important. And those first outsourcings is going to be really important. So never underestimate what it is that maybe you don't really want to be doing in your business and someone else could do for you instead. Because our focus is always be the best that you can be at what you do, and focus on what it is that you do the best. Surround yourself with the right team, and there's no question whatsoever you will always be a success. So Rachel, have you had, you know, going from a software engineer to now being your own boss and building an amazing platform, potentially 2 platforms, it's probably came along with some fears and doubts and worries along the way. How have you managed those?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that it's stressful. Like, I don't think anybody could, you know, look somebody in the eye and say, oh, running a business isn't stressful. Now, I'm very grateful with my background in elite sport. I have worked on, you know, not getting nervous at competitions. And now I genuinely, hand on heart, can say that I go to a competition and I don't get nervous, because what I just have to tell myself is it's just dressage. You know, at the end of the day, it's the same test you do at home. You're just showcasing it at an event. And if I brought that mindset into business as well, like business and sport are actually quite similar, and, you know, working with your team and, as you say, knowing who the experts are. And it's just kind of accepting that okay, perfection isn't going to happen. Nobody gets 100% in a dressage test, and nobody has a 100% perfect business. But you take on the challenge, you take a breath, you think it's not life or death, and then you work through it and just chipping away at the small things, whether it's something I'm trying to implement in the app, or whether it's, trying to get your head around marketing, or, I was doing a lot of like live streaming and Clubhouse and podcasts and stuff like that. That came with a learning curve, and I didn't really know how to do it before I started. And it's just chipping away and trying not to get overwhelmed by I want to have my business here by then. It's going, what can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? What can I do this week? Who can I ask for help? Who knows about this? And just chipping away at it, trying not to get overwhelmed by the big picture.
And in that sense, then, what is it that best motivates you?
That's a good one. I think it's just that I'm so passionate about what I do. And that sounds really, like, oh, that's an easy answer, and you're just saying that. But genuinely, it's something that keeps me up at night in a good way. I'll be like trying to go to sleep and I'm like, oh, I could do this, or, oh, a partnership with them would be amazing, or, oh, I've already developed this and then I could connect it to use this technology. And, that's what really, really excites me. And that's what I always liked about the software engineering space and the computer science space. My background's actually like AI, machine learning, with like, and that's like the cutting edge technology. And being able to integrate pieces of that in the app, I know I'm going to sound like such a big nerd here, but it genuinely, it just really, really excites me. And, it's seeing all the small wins. And, like during the Olympics, we were doing a lot of posting about, the results of the Irish and the British teams. And we had loads of Olympians coming back and saying, oh yeah, and joining waiting lists and things like that. And there's just small wins every day. And I think it's celebrating them as well. Like whether that's sitting down with a cup of tea and a biscuit and saying, I did a good job today, or a bottle of bubbly, whatever. But, and it's just celebrating the wins. And I think that keeps you going.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So for anyone in the room or anyone online, if you've got a specific question, please feel free to drop it in the chat. And is there anybody in the room that would like to ask a question to either Pamela or Rachel? Just raise a hand. The lovely Jay has just said she has huge admiration for Pamela because she herself has young children and she knows the challenges that are faced with that. So having achieved what you've achieved to date, she believes is absolutely fantastic. So Jackie said, how difficult is it to work on the business as opposed to in the business? Great question, Jackie. Thank you for asking that one. Pamela.
I think it's important to do both, because whenever you're working in the business, you can see where you need the business to go, or improvements for the business. It is difficult, I think, to put on the I'm the owner hat, and it is me that needs to work on the business and find ways of having the answers, I suppose, to the questions. So it is quite difficult, I would just say, but I think it's important to work in the business just to try and figure out where you need to then work on the business, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course. But I think one of the, my observation over the years has really been that an awful lot of people spend so much time working in the business constantly. And what they don't necessarily do is take that moment of stepping back and taking that helicopter approach to actually look in the business and identify what's going on, what needs to happen, are we on target, what is the bigger plan, how are we looking at 6 months, 12 months, has anything else changed in the sector or the industry, what's really important for us to be paying attention to in the business right now, and even really looking at your competition, because it's sometimes what happens is business owners become so insular in what they're looking at, that actually they only focus on that and they don't actually look at what else is happening outside. So it's a really important and valuable thing to do from a viewpoint of making sure that you do it on a regular basis. So if you're not doing that helicopter view once a month or at least once a quarter, you need to be doing.
Yeah,
So
so you don't become stagnant. You know, you
yes,
don't want to just kind of be set in your ways. And I suppose I think I kind of do it subconsciously as well, because there isn't really anybody else to do that role. So yeah, I think it is, as you say, it's important to kind of have that step back. But it is difficult, because when you're so engrossed in what is going on in the day-to-day runnings, but you obviously have to continually make that plan. The plan won't make itself. And I think, as you say, yeah, it's important to ensure that you are continue to further that plan and make sure that you know where the business needs to go in, and where you maybe need to, you know, set if it needs to go off in a slightly different direction, or if it has started to go in a slightly different direction, how to bring it back on the course, you know, that you want it to follow.
yeah, really important. And you know, we've seen over the last 18 months how many different businesses have ended up pivoting through COVID. So an important note to ask. So next question is from Nicola. I'm going to pose that to yourself, Rachel. What mediums or platforms have you found best to communicate with you, to communicate what it is you do to your audience and your customers?
Yeah, I think the power of social media is really, really key. You know, obviously I'm a software engineer. I've built a website, you know, we've got all that going as well. But it's actually connecting with people and connecting sort of on social media, being authentic, like especially for like sole traders or people who are, you know, like they're their own boss, you know, actually coming on and being like, I'm the person behind the product, I think really, really is important. I've had a lot of success with, you know, like live streams and podcasts where I've either been interviewing people or being interviewed and talking that way. And just kind of getting yourself out there. I think it's very easy to get perfectionisty with it and be like, oh, I'm not going to have an Instagram unless it's beautifully branded and it's all in a color scheme. And, you know, you see some of them and they are phenomenal. But it's remembering that those people probably have a social media manager and a social media team and department. So I think just getting started. And like, I know I've got a great network of equestrian businesses. And like, I just love going on and seeing what they're doing and how everybody's acting. You know, people going on their stories and saying, oh, I'm walking my dog today and it's a good job I have my coat because, you know, it's waterproof and whatever. I'm like, oh, right, okay, I can see that being used. And seeing the reality as well. I think that's really, it's free to do, you know, on social media. And it really, really works, I think.
Great, thank you. So again, if you've got any more questions, do feel free to put them in the chat. Denise. Okay, so Denise has just posed a question with regards ensuring, how do you ensure that the passion and the service marry up? So in essence, to make sure that you're getting paid. So if you're someone that has got a fantastic product or you've got a service and you find yourself in a position that you're maybe offering a little bit too much of your service for free, how do you reposition and look at making sure that you find that fine line between making sure you're getting paid for what it is you're providing, whether it's a product or a service? Pamela, do you want to, I know what you're providing principally is more about products, but there is a service in there as well, because you've got your customer service, it's the engagement, it's Brookfield Farm, it's the farm shop, it's the added extras that come with that as well.
I think it is just about ensuring that you are attaching the correct value. So many people will go out there and you know, offer all of this advice for free, but you know, on another hand, then there's somebody else who is charging for that advice. So I think it's on, you know, valuing your own worth as well, because there is, yes, a lot of information out there that people can go and access, but if they've came to you directly, if you are offering that service, it's ensuring that you're having to pull the resources together and your time, and it's ensuring that you do value it. And yes, sometimes it is hard and people may not be as forthcoming or wanting to maybe pay what they should be, but I think you really have to just again put on your big girl pants and be strong and say, no, but this is what this is worth and this is what I can offer you. And if they then in turn choose to take up that service, well, all being good. But and if they don't let in that think, well, oh, maybe I need to pull back that, maybe I am charging too much, because just because one person has made a comment or hasn't came on board because they feel that your of your costings is too much or your price is too much, doesn't mean to say that next person will feel. So I think it's just ensuring that you know your worth and that you stick to it.
Fantastic. Great answer. I hope that helps, Denise. Wonderful. So I'm going to pass the last question over before break, I think, to Rachel. So John, thank you for the question. Have you suffered from imposter syndrome? And if so, what coping mechanisms do you use to get past it?
I've always got a really good story for this, right? So Michelle Obama was interviewed and she was asked, like, how do you feel sitting in a room in front of all these big, influential, like incredibly intelligent, typically men? And she was like, well, the first thing you realize is that most of them aren't that smart. And it's a bit tongue in cheek, but nobody has it figured out. Like, I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg doesn't have everything figured out, the CEO of Facebook. And, it's just telling yourself, nobody has it 100% together. I'm just going to show up and I'm going to do my best. And that's where my sporting background really plays in, because like in my sport and dressage, you literally have a judge or multiple judges who are scoring you and writing down all your faults. So doing that, like, I'm never going to get 100%. Like, nobody in the world has ever got 100%. But it's going through your test, and if you make a mistake in one movement, you breathe, you compose yourself, and you move on, and you keep going. And it's actually the people who breathe, compose themselves, and keep going that don't then continue to make mistakes because they're panicked. And it's the same in business. Like with imposter syndrome, I think it's great people are talking about it, and I think it's great that people are opening up about it. But there also can be the side where you go, oh, well, I have imposter syndrome, so I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to push myself out there because of my imposter syndrome. And I think it's just taking it and going, well, I'm not going to let this hold me back. And I'm just going to go out there. And at the end of the day, if you're authentic and you're real, if you make a mistake, if you fluff your words, people are going to be okay with it. And yeah, it's just telling yourself that we're going to do this. You've got this. Give yourself a wee pep talk before you go out. And yeah, I think everybody suffers from it to some level.
Great answer. Thank you so much, Rachel. I think it's a very valid point in today's society, especially dealing with social media, because people find it such a huge challenge to, oh, but everybody's going to judge everybody. The reality is the one person who's always going to judge you is yourself. And I think if you stand in a place of, it's your knowledge, it's your business, it's your experience, let's not worry about what anybody else thinks and just focus on what it is that you want to do, what you want to build, and how you want to support yourself better in your dream, in your life. So with that, we are going to take a break. For everybody that's in the room, we've got teas and coffees organized. And for those of you online, you've got the chance to go into, well, you've got the chance to go and have your quick cuppa as well, but also to jump into breakout rooms, and we've got a few fun questions for you. So we can do some of those questions in the room as well for anybody that wants to play. All right, folks, we shall be resuming back at 11:30 for our panel discussion and Q&A. Thank you very much. camera off?
Sorry, I think you cut out at home there for a couple of seconds there, so people mightn't have heard you.
Okay. Okay, so Pat, we've lost Pamela Lilburn jumps back. Fantastic. Okay, great. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. I hope you had the chance to meet some new people over coffee break. We definitely did here in the room, which was fun. And we're now just going to do a little bit more of a discussion around how we see business at the moment, the importance of rural women, and a few little fun questions through the process as well. So, John, you've heard from earlier. Ken, you've heard from earlier. Pamela, you've heard from Pamela. We've got two Pamelas and two Pamela L's. I went to do this earlier and I went, oh my goodness, they've both got surnames that begin with L. So welcome, Pamela Laird. If you just want to take your microphone off mute for the moment and join us. Let's just have a quick conversation with you. So you're down in Dublin's Fair City today, is that right?
I am indeed. Yeah,
Great.
Great to be here.
So fantastic, you've had the opportunity to join us. Pamela and I met through a mutual friend throughout the COVID days, actually.
Yeah.
And she has a very inspiring story to tell, and probably just want to jump in a little bit at the deep end, and then we'll take it out to a more panel discussion. As we've talked to Pamela Lilburn and to Rachel, we've talked about passion, we've talked about success, we've talked about the drive and tenacity and the resilience that's needed. If you were looking at the one core thing that made you decide to build Moxie Loves, what was that?
Oh my gosh, one thing. I think the determination, to succeed in something was always there. And I guess I started out in nails at the beginning. I was a nail technician. And I felt like, at that stage, I'd sort of achieved everything I wanted to. And without, we had a nail bar, I was running that. And it just felt like that there was a limit to how big that could get for me. And I wanted more. And I was sort of determined to do something a little bit bigger, and I wanted to expand. I wanted to export. I wanted a brand that would be global. And yeah, I was determined to make it happen. So I think I stepped back from sort of my very first foray into entrepreneurship and decided to make something a little bit bigger. And so that's really where Moxie Loves came from.
And clearly from that viewpoint, you spent a lot of time taking that helicopter view and working on the business rather than spending too much time working in the business.
Yeah, and I soon realized, I think having a service business, I realized there was a bit of a limitation, and often people wanted me all the time. And I thought, well, if I can kind of step back, look at a business and think, well, if I have a product range that has my stamp all over it, but that can be sold without me standing over it, I don't have to be there. And I don't know if it's like a lot of people would name a brand after themselves. I purposely didn't. I wanted this to be bigger than any profile I had in Dublin or anything I was going to personally do. I wanted it to be standing alone by itself. And so that was something that was really important to me when I was creating it. I wanted to step away and have it do really well by itself.
Fantastic. Thank you. And one of the highlights, I think, of your business journey definitely would have to be being on The Apprentice. How challenging did you find that experience?
Gosh, of course it was a highlight. I mean, even personally and professionally across the board, it was extremely challenging. I think, I'd ran my own business. I sort of knew the bones about what was going to be required for running a business, but filming a reality TV show while developing a toy or running around Oxford and Cambridge looking for random items on a list while still trying to be professional. It was just, honestly, it was fun, but it was the most stressful thing I've ever done. I run my own business every day. I pitch to Boots, I pitch to these big retailers, but here I am pitching this fake fragrance to Boots, and I've never been so nervous. The pressure I felt, honestly, is indescribable. But I have to say, when I look back so fondly at how stressed I was at small things. And when you watch an episode, it's so funny, like it's super entertaining for the audience. And obviously now I can see that, but I tell you, I was not laughing at the time, that's for sure.
Thank you for sharing that. And if there's one tip, so bearing in mind, your business is up and running now, you have got your brand, you've got your brand recently into Boots. Is that right?
Yes, last year. Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. So well done. So, you're on that path to building a global brand without a shadow of a doubt. For any of the entrepreneurs that's either online joining us or in the room that's joining us and just starting out, is there one key thing that you think with hindsight you wish you'd done earlier, or one key piece of advice that you think would be really great for them?
Yeah, I think there's one thing that just comes up time and time again. The stage I'm at now, where I'm sort of raising my first round, it's to try and raise money when you don't need it. So it's a funny thing, because you think, well, why would I do that? But when you get to a stage and you're scaling and you're trying to grow into new markets and you really need a level of investment in your company, it's very difficult to focus on the company growth at that stage and also raise money. As a founder, you're split in two, and it's so time consuming and quite draining. And if I just started a little bit earlier, I think it would have been a lot easier for me, and I wouldn't be sort of trying to sort of manage my expectations, but also wanting to grow really quickly. And then the other thing I think, which is really important, and it plays into probably every day I have to make a decision based on how I feel. And I there's a saying that always spoke to me, and that was feel the fear and do it anyway. Because most of these really big decisions are a little scary, and you sort of have to go, is this the right thing? But actually feeling that fear and plowing on and getting through it, you can actually see real success. And I think unless you're doing something a bit scary and a bit out there, you're probably not doing it big enough. You've got to be a little bit fearful of the decisions you make. And so that is something I daily fight with myself. Is this the right decision? But if it feels a little bit nerve-wracking, then you're probably on the right track.
Fantastic. Thank you. Great advice and great guidance. So I'm going to jump over now to Ken and just talk about the local market a little bit more.
In terms of the business support side, Shirley?
Yes, Ken. So I think, LEDCom has been running for several decades now. What you do for the local community is phenomenal support in an array of different ways. If we look at the landscape at the moment, given the last 18 months with COVID, etc., how are you seeing things shifting and moving? How are you seeing industries changing? Has some of your tenants ended up pivoting? How do you see the current landscape?
That's a big question, Shirley, and I could certainly answer that from a number of angles. What I think we're seeing is that certainly at one level, there's a growth of interest in self-employment. And a number of individuals, I think, have used lockdown and that period that we've all been through to think about what are their aspirations for the future, what do they think of their own career, what do they see as their hopes and ambitions for the future. So certainly we're seeing that development, and it's not just in terms of full-time self-employment, it's the opportunity to consider part-time self-employment where it sits alongside perhaps the day job. John made reference earlier to the challenge of making the leap and having to still pay the mortgage and have the bills. So quite often we would see individuals who are keen to explore self-employment on a part-time basis. And if you can do that, that makes a lot of sense. I think the other area we're seeing is that people have got a lot more used to technology. So we've had a discussion earlier in the breakout room about Zoom, but the number of people who are now much more comfortable in terms of using technology platforms, that does create opportunities. The areas where there's certainly significant opportunities when you think about it, there's significant gaps in the hospitality side from an employment point of view, and there's real skill shortages there. It's the same in construction, and it's also the same in transport and logistics. But those needs and those gaps create opportunities. If you're in a rural area, I think the big advantage now is that you can be anywhere in the world because location is where you want it to be. So if the location is going to be your own facility in a rural area, if you want to use co-working or hot desking space, whatever it is, location now is totally transformed. We would see certainly so that's the general trends. I think we're really excited with the fact that this program is focused in terms of particularly helping rural women. And Connie Nelson, who I know very well, was in the breakout room and talking about the opportunity to develop, a small part-time micro business. And I think the scope to develop some of those micro businesses and then see where they go. And that's what you're trying to do with the SEED program as well. And when you do need that support, this program will be a real help to anybody who participates on it, but also the wider support network, the work that John does through Ulster Bank, the work that we do as an enterprise centre from advice, information, networking, signposting, and then if a business plan is needed, where do you find finance? Who can we introduce you to? It's all about helping people along that enterprise journey. So there's a very, very strong support network in Northern Ireland. Sometimes it's a bit confusing because there's so many organizations and so much support out there. And part of that is building up a relationship with individuals who come for support, that you can be a good guide to them. And I think that's what people are looking for is trustworthy relationships, in the sense of having somebody they can have confidence in, even in terms of the support they can provide or who they can signpost them to. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, Shirley, but that's a quick overview.
No, fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Ken. And I think it's fair to say you also have launched a fantastic new space and place in Ballyclare. Would you like to just say a few words on that?
Yes, thanks for that, Shirley. I mean, I come from the Ballyclare area, and we're the business enterprise centre for the Ballyclare area, as well as for Larne. And in Ballyclare, we have co-working hot desking space. So that's a great opportunity for somebody who wants to test the market, or maybe those who are rather keen to work closer to home. And that's been part of the learning from the furlough and lockdown experience, where they may not be in the office 5 days a week, and working patterns are changing. So we have that co-working space called the Work Cube. And we also then have dedicated managed workspace at Foundry House in the Doak Road, which we have exciting plans for. So certainly we're very keen to talk to anybody that needs support in the Ballyclare or Larne area. And again, I'd emphasize that we are one of the members of Enterprise NI. There are enterprise centres in all parts of Northern Ireland. And if you're from a rural area, an urban area, and you need to get access to that, we can help signpost.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Pamela Lilburn, quick question for you. How do you think rural women can be better supported?
I think being a woman in business in the rural, it's really hard to get noticed, because obviously, well, from my experience, I was obviously a working mum, married to a farmer who obviously worked crazy hours. So being able to have support, childcare was a big thing. Like, I was spending more money on childcare than what I had coming in. You know, I knew I needed to kind of shift things about in order to make life a little bit easier for myself, and obviously be able to be there for my kids. So I think you know, some sort of help and guidance into how to kind of manage all of that, because it can just become very overwhelming. And even if that is just in the form of advice and support, having a network there to be able to just speak to. And I think a network is so important. And you see, like the SEED program, the more I read into it, if something like that had even been, you know, available whenever we were kind of starting out in our business, you know, not everybody will need necessarily every area. And I would probably say, even as being a business who has already started, there's potentially quite a few areas of that program that could still benefit the likes of my, you know, my business. So I think, you know, being in rural, you're not necessarily getting into the cities, into the kind of high flying jobs, because you seem to be having a bit more of a kind of discreet role. You know, you're kind of in your own little bubble, as we're talking about these days, and it's a lot harder, I think, to get noticed. So being as a part of this program obviously will open up a lot more networking opportunities, and I think for rural women that's really important to provide them with that network, because they don't necessarily know where to go to find that. Had they have been working in a bigger business in the city, you know, I think it's sometimes easier to navigate that.
I couldn't agree more. And of course, you're welcome to come join us at any point in time at any of the sessions. Absolutely. So I'll quickly poise the next question over to John. John, you and I have had many discussions around business, around the dynamics of how we shift and change things, entrepreneurship, having that entrepreneurial spirit, even if you are in the corporate world, and being able to harness that. What do you think we can do more of today to help people harness that entrepreneurial spirit, irrespective of whether they decide to be their own boss or whether they still work in a corporate?
Yeah, I think back to the previous point. It's very easy, especially for rural women, and actually, I guess anyone outside of Belfast in the north right now, is that challenge of is all the support in Belfast and focused on that. And I think there's a lot of people shout about startups from a technology standpoint and all those things. And I think one of the challenges is we need to be better at shouting about whether it's a really micro business that you're doing 5 hours a week, or you're starting a tech startup that you think you want to go and raise £5 million. They're equally viable to both you and the economy here. And I think we don't do enough to shout about the work that happens with people who just want to start a business that's just them, and enough to make a living and to do the things that they want to do. Back to, I guess, the very start of this call earlier this morning. Why do you want to start a business? Not everybody wants to start a business to be Mark Zuckerberg. Some people want to start a business to have more time with their kids, or I think one of the reasons why I stopped my startup, other than actually going down in horrible flames and not doing a great job at it, was I took that leap thinking it would give me more time to spend with my kids. And one day, one of them said to me, "I see you less than when you were working for someone else." So I think there's a lot of pressure on people, and I think when you're thinking about starting, you look at all this talk of startups that are really exciting and things happening and investment and all those things, and I think it's remembering that that's not every business and investment. And back to Pamela Laird's point at the very start, not everybody on the program will ever go for investment in their business. That's perfectly fine. But for the people who are going to go down that route and possibly will need investment at some point, it's a really key point to think about that leverage when you are going for investment. You need some leverage to come out of that in the best light for you. And whether that's, like Pamela said, about going for investment when you don't need it, or going for investment when it's the right time for you, so that you've got not the upper hand in that conversation, but if you've got lots of people that want to invest in you, it's much easier to get the valuation for your business that you want and it's right for you, versus if you've only got one option. So I think the biggest thing for me, for anyone thinking about starting a business today, is really understanding, back to that first conversation, the why. Why do you want to do it? And never forget that, because I think when you start to listen to other people telling you you should go down this path or down that path, this is your path. The reason why most people do this is to not have someone tell them what to do. And always remember that in your head, that the reason why you're doing this, and focus your attempts and where you're going based on the why and what the purpose is.
You've just reminded me of something that I really do need to share before we end today. So I will find that in a second, because it lends itself straight into that as well. Leading on from what John has just said, Rachel, if you were thinking about who's the best person that you turn to for advice, because I think what happens typically for a lot of people when they start up a business, and especially if you're starting up a business and maybe it's a family-based business, you look at those other members in the family or closest around you for advice, and they're not always the best people to give you the best advice, because they might just tell you what you want to hear, and it's that positive thought process. They're not necessarily being fully honest and transparent, as we talked about earlier. So who would you typically turn to for advice and guidance?
Yeah, so that's a really good one. If you're looking for a book to read, the Mum Test talks all about that, where if you tell your mum, I've got this idea for a business, she's going to tell you it's wonderful, and it's not necessarily the feedback you need. But I've been very lucky. I've thrown myself into multiple startup sort of environments and ecosystems. I've worked with John before. I've been involved in a couple of ones for women. I've been on the Ignite Propel program. And just throwing yourself into those situations with people who have done it before is a lot more efficient than doing Dr. Google and trying to figure out, because things like even registering a company, whether you're a sole trader or a limited company, things like that you can learn from somebody who's done it before. You'll learn that much quicker than if you're trying to Google it or figure it out. So that's where programs have been really, really helpful for me. And I think this would be a really great program for especially rural women, because, I was lucky I was able to move to Belfast and be in that sort of hubbub, say the big city. You say that to people from London or Dublin and they laugh at you, but to me, it's the big city. But that's not an option for everybody. So it's being able to access those programs. And that's, in a way, I think COVID, while it's been awful, there's been, atrocities have happened, but this digital landscape has really, really helped. I've got connections with British and World veterinary associations that I never would have had pre to COVID, because I would have had to have flown to Canada or flown to London or, flown about, whereas being able to access that and just kind of putting yourself out there, that's kind of who I would always go to for advice.
So again, what we keep hearing is the landscape is shifting and changing. Surround yourself with the best possible people that will give you that right advice. I mean, if we look at the likes of Richard Branson, he's quite openly shared on many occasions that he's failed and he's dyslexic and a few other things in the process. But for him, all of those things are irrelevant. It's the mindset of wanting to succeed, wanting to achieve, and surrounding yourself with the right teams and the right people that will help you build what you're going to build. So given John's little comment earlier, I really want to share this because I think this is a really valuable point, because I think a lot of people question the process about investing themselves and how that looks like. So someone else shared this with me, and I thought actually it was a very valuable piece of information. So it says, I'm going to have to move my glasses off because I don't need those to read. You graduate uni with 35,000 in debt. People clap and cheer you on. You get married and spend between 5 to 50,000 for one day. People will clap and cheer you on. You take a 200,000 loan from the bank to buy your first house. People will clap and cheer you on. You take a 30,000 loan for a car, a depreciating asset, by the way, with an interest rate. People will clap and cheer you on. That's roughly 365,000 total spent debt throughout the years, and somehow they're feeling good about it because people are congratulating them for it. Now, for the entrepreneurs in the room, go and tell those same people you're going to spend a few £100s to start your own business. Are you sure? They will say. What if it doesn't work? They will say. Can you get your money back? What if people laugh at you? I know a place that's hiring. It's going to be hard to get people to support you. Some of these same people won't even share or like your post. This is obviously on Facebook. They won't help you promote your business either. We talked a little bit about that earlier. They would rather spend their money with somebody else. They will bring you everything negative about what it is that you're doing. So, picture a bucket full of crabs with no lid. The moment a crab tries to get out, the other crabs will literally rip its legs off. Not a nice sight. So for the rest of this year, really, really pay attention to who you're surrounding yourself with and who you're speaking to in your life. Shout out to all of you today who are bold entrepreneurs that say yes. If you've got that idea, there's an opportunity for you to do it. So thank you for letting me share that. And thank you, John, for just bringing that back to my mind and the table again. Pamela Laird, keep forgetting I've got two Pamelas. Success is, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and wanting to build a huge brand. And, if you're taking a whole island approach at the moment, looking at the whole of Ireland and getting your goods out. And I'm assuming when you say Boots, you've also got it in Boots in the mainland, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So looking at that bigger, wider, global perspective of what that definition is, how do you see your ultimate success? What does that ultimate success look like for you? And why is it so important?
There's a few milestones. I guess being in the beauty industry so long, there, in terms of what does success look like as a beauty brand, there's a few things that spring to my mind. Being in other global markets for me is probably my number one, and that's what I'm focused on. We're in October of this year just going to launch in 400 stores in Australia. Again, that came through via a COVID scenario. We were able to do all of those via Zoom. And I probably wouldn't have had an opportunity to get that listing so successfully and quickly if I had to fly there and all of that. So yeah, I'm delighted with that. And then of course the USA, they're the types of markets that I want to see my brand in. And then the further down success, you know, you look at sort of the landscape of the beauty industry, and a lot of brands are getting acquired by the bigger houses, the Hook Group, L'Oreal, you know, Shiseido, all of that kind of stuff is definitely something to me that kind of feels like that would be a success if you were disrupting the market enough to bother any of the bigger groups. But yeah, for me, there's a few lists of stores that I want to have the brand in, and that is for the next kind of 3 to 4 years my driver. That's the goals that I've set myself and the business.
Fantastic, thank you. Pamela Lilburn, what's next on your list? Or is there a next?
Well, obviously we had started with the milk vending machine, and we have just recently opened the farm shop, and that was kind of driven, I would say, mostly by our customer base. But we are seeing more and more people coming to the farm are enjoying that, being able to kind of see where their food is obviously coming from and associating it with it. So I think we're trying to go down the route of not going into like an open farm style thing, but the education side of it. I think education in farming is so important, and there is such a lack of it. You know, so many children have no association as to where their food comes from. They think it genuinely comes from a supermarket shelf. So I think getting that out there is probably the next step in our on the bigger picture, but in the small interim, just growing the shop. The farm shop is basically a hub of local produce that we can produce here within the north and south of Ireland, and we are so passionate about being able to give other businesses the showcase to showcase their businesses. So everything that we sell within the farm shop are local products. So it's going to be about growing our other products, being able to source other products, and again, just shining a light on other businesses. I think it's so important in the day and age that we are in. You know, as we talked about, it doesn't matter whether you're a small, you know, business that you're just making something in the comfort of your own home. Like, we want to showcase that, because I believe whether you're big or small, you deserve to have that audience. And if we can help that in any way, I would love our shop to be able to do that. So yeah, we have messages come in day and daily of different products. So it's being able to obviously have a good selection process about what we have in the shop, but we are mainly driven by our customers. You know, they are kind of telling us what they would like. And I think as well, if you are operating under that, you're kind of ensuring yourself that you're going to have a customer base. You know, if they're driving you and keeping you going, well, obviously they're going to come back and purchase from you. So if you can kind of keep that rolling. But yeah, our main aim is kind of to showcase other products, and then grow into kind of the education side of things for farming.
Sounds fantastic. And just quickly, where can people find more information about you, the business, It's Just Milk, the farm?
So, yeah, we are on all social media platforms. So at We Are Brookfield Farm. Again, website is www.wearebrookfieldfarm.co.uk, and then you can catch up with us on Sunday and BBC One at 7 p.m. We will be on Countryfile for our 3rd episode, and then yeah, there'll be another one later in the year, so you can stay tuned for that.
Thank you for sharing that. Rachel, just going back to yourself for a second. When is Stable Manager live?
Yeah, so it's very exciting at the moment. We're currently in early access. So we're in the UK, Ireland, and the States. So we've got a general availability launch towards the end of this year. So it's very exciting times at the moment. There's a couple of spaces still on our early access if you're interested, and it's www.stablemanager.tech. And then the plan is next year is continue our growth. We've got some really exciting partnerships with international governing bodies, and then take over the US. So it's easy as that.
Sounds fantastic. And are you seeking funding at the moment? Are you looking for funding?
So not at the moment. I'm not raising at the moment. We have plans in place for that, but the raise will be later on.
Great. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Pamela Laird, do you want to just quickly share where people can find you, where they can buy your products?
Of course. So the brand is moxieloves.com, and you can find us in Boots and Lloyd's Pharmacy. And if you're in the UK, we're in all of the Boots stores in the UK, and I think we're in about 20 stores in Northern Ireland.
Thank you so much for sharing. John, I want to touch on one of the last things around in my opinion and my personal vision of Northern Ireland. Having moved back in the last couple of years, it's interesting for me just to see how business is shifting and moving, the culture of what we have here. There's various aspects that we're always dealing with challenges on, but being able to move beyond that political arena, being able to move beyond some of those added complications that are presented there, I see a huge opportunity, and really one of the reasons why I wanted to do the seed formula for rural women, to regenerate some of our old villages and towns. Because when I think about my Father's Day or my grandfather's day, our local little village down in Glenarm would have had 6 butchers, 5 pubs, 4 sweetie shops, all of that, and it really was a community hub. And whilst, you know, a lot of people will say that particular village is still a lovely village, there is no butcher, there is no sweetie shop, there's maybe 2 pubs. And I think there's an opportunity now to really build, as you said, upon some of those micro businesses, upon some of the artisans, bringing different concepts to the table of what community is now looking for, having gone through COVID. Are you seeing a shift and change through your networks, through how the bank is supporting some of the smaller businesses, and really looking at what can we do differently and be a bit more driven towards our communities?
Yeah, definitely. So when we first started our accelerator programs in Belfast 6 years ago now, I would say probably 80 to 90% of our cohort would have been what is seen as traditional startup kind of tech and all that sort of stuff. Today, we're probably at about 20% is that, and the other 80 is traditional businesses that actually want that support and help to kind of grow their business, as opposed to, I guess, what is seen in the media as the exciting tech stuff and all that kind of thing. So there's definitely been a huge shift towards businesses that just need the help, and people who know what we talked about earlier, the things that they're not good at in the breakout room, and understanding those things and being able to go out and ask for that help, to put the support around you to help you grow the business. And I think we definitely are seeing a lot more, especially in the food and drink space. A lot of, I mean, entrepreneurs are just people who spot the gaps, and mostly you spend your life thinking maybe someone else must have done this when in fact they probably haven't. And especially in the food and drink space, we're starting to see a lot more really exciting and different and interesting products that are coming out that people, I suppose, in the past have been hesitant to go towards because they felt like there's bigger players in the market. But we're seeing more and more of those businesses take the leap, and I think that's the exciting thing about especially food and drink here. There's some amazing organizations and businesses starting, but even back to Pamela Laird's point about being in Boots, I think the ecosystem in the north here is so small that there is so much support to help you get there. You know, we've had 7 or 8 businesses who've got their products in the Boots, and we're constantly, you know, we don't charge anybody for what we do. What we ask is that you give back at some point. So those near 700 businesses that we've had on the program, I'm constantly torturing them to say, can you talk to this entrepreneur who's in the process with Boots, so that they can now understand what that process is like, what they're going to ask you for, what margins they're going to be looking for, and all the stuff that you don't know when you first go into that situation. So it's about building that community of people who will help each other. And it's not, it's just giving you the insights to know if you're going in front of Boots, that you know how to pitch to them and what to pitch to them. You know, back to Pamela's point about the apprentice, you know, and I haven't been in that situation, but, you know, running into a shop to buy something and all that, but you don't really know what you're doing. Whereas your comfort zone of running the business, you kind of know what you're doing. You know, and I think this ecosystem that's been building in Northern Ireland is about helping each other out and giving you that helping hand to know the bits that you don't know right now that will help you possibly get into a Boots or get into a supermarket or whatever it is you're trying to do. And I think that's the exciting thing right now, that we're just seeing a real cycle of that where lots of people are now getting the benefit of the past sort of 5 to 10 years of people who've been there before them.
Fantastic, John. Thank you so much. I know we're running a few minutes over, but if you could just bear with me for a few more minutes. I'm going to ask Roy to see if he can zoom in on this. I have been very fortunate to have a birthday this week, and it was a very special birthday. And I've ended up with some very interesting gifts. And I think this was because my friends were thinking a little bit more outside of the box insofar as something that's different, and because I am so passionate about entrepreneurs and what that looks like. So we're going to attempt to show you a couple of examples of what has been sent to me that are unique, different, and again, just to encourage you to think a little bit more outside of the box about your unique offering that you're giving to someone. So we'll try this and see how it goes. Little box to start with. So it's called Biscuiteers. What they have created is this tiny little biscuit that's like a cake and that says on it, Happy Birthday, Shirley. So something very unique, something quite tiny, something very personalized, and something quite special. So I don't know that you can actually see the writing on it, but I thought that was very cute, very different, and such a lovely little gesture. The second one is a bit easier to open the box on this one. As you can see, it's a VIP gift box, and really it's a pamper box. So in here it's got biscuits, of course. It's got different types of teas. It's got some marshmallows for your hot chocolate. It's got collagen, I think. So it's really like a pamper box of sorts that has an array of different things that have been positioned and put into it. A bar and chocolate included, even some candles in the process as well. So a very clever yet simple idea of doing something different from a business perspective, of providing something as a small token gift to someone in your world and in your life. So some of the entrepreneurs are really genuinely thinking a little bit outside of the box. And I'm going to ask one person to come and join us for a second. Jay, will you come join us, please, for a moment? Can I borrow your... If you'd like to just have a seat. So I just want to quickly ask Jay to share a little bit of her story. We had a conversation recently because she's applied to the program. I have, in fact, given her a place in the program because I am so impressed with what it is that she wants to do and how she wants to make a difference in her community. So, Jay, could you just tell us where you're from and the dream around building what it is that you want to build?
Yes,
Thank you.
I would love to.
Hold the mic a little closer.
So when I was 18, I told my dad that I was going to be a yoga teacher and I was going to move to Australia to teach. And he told me under no uncertain terms was I going to do that. I was going to university and I was going to use my brain to do something. So I qualified as an accountant. I went off to Australia. I built a 6-figure career and I promptly left accountancy, and I did a teacher training with Anna Forrest, and she was just incredible. Her story is so inspiring, and on the training, halfway through, she takes you through a death ceremony, where you go into a very deep meditation, and she will talk you through your last 24 hours in life, and you go through all your regrets and what you really wanted to do, and what you missed out on. And the only thing that came through was teach yoga, serve the community, teach yoga, serve the community. So the next day, I obviously bawled my eyes out for about 24 hours. And I went in to see my manager and I handed in my notice, and I drove for 2 weeks after that. I drove 24 hours to a place called Townsville. I'd never heard of it. First of all, I knew no one there. And I left a very good career to teach 3 yoga classes a week, to which my dad was very impressed with me. I'm glad I was in Australia. Um, and I taught there for a number of years, and I went through a very long healing process. The medical profession had told me that I would never have children, and I would never conceive. And when I met Anna, she actually told me that was bollocks, and if I wanted to heal, I would heal. And well, I have 2 healthy little boys, so I did. So I used essential oils, I used yoga to do that, and numerous other weird and wonderful holistic remedies and techniques. And then I started getting this message, and it was like, go home, you need to go home, you need to go to Ireland. And every song that came on in the radio was like, the islands are calling you. And I was like, no, I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. And anyway, we came home, we moved into the family home, and I really want to set up a retreat center now. We've got so much land, we've got horses, and just to do various different retreat weekends for people. So I had a beautiful birth when I was in Australia. I had a horrific one when I was through the NHS. And I want to create a retreat center where people can come and really use that space to heal and nourish themselves, whether it is they bring their own horses and they can go out for hacks in the countryside, they'll do their yoga, they'll have hot and cold therapies, they'll eat vegan food or really wholesome, good, nourishing food. They'll learn all about essential oils. And it's just not a one-step thing that's going to change their life, but it's different elements that they can bring in and what's going to really up-level their life. So I'm so grateful to be on this program because my dreams are so big, but I just don't really know where to start. So thank you.
My absolute pleasure. I was just going to say, how did you find us, and what made you decide that this would be really supportive for you right now?
The hippie in me, the universe just put you in front of me, and I was like, oh, what's this? This looks interesting, and clicked into it and read a little about the program, and then everything was just, I always trust my gut. If my gut says no, I don't do it. If my gut says yes, off we go, and we see what happens.
Thank you so much for sharing. So we had a few ladies in the room today. Unfortunately, one of the other ones has left, but for those of you that are out there thinking, wondering, not sure, do have a look at www.theseedformula.com. There's more information to be able to provide you. If you haven't put an application in for a sponsored place, feel free to do so. And then you can go ahead and book up your appointment for a mini interview. We are here to support you. We're here to help you. Ourselves with our communities, LEDCOM, support with John at Ulster Bank. There is a raft of ways that you can be supported throughout the local community, and we will do everything in our power to help make sure you're up and running, making some money, and actually surprising yourself before the end of the year. So quickly, just opening up if there's any questions. Do we have any questions in the chat, Roy? No. Any questions in the room, ladies and gents? Anything else you want to add, John?
Nope. I don't want to keep anybody any longer, other than just the last thing for me is ask for as much help as you need and keep asking.
Anything else you'd like to add, Ken?
No, ditto to what John has said. We're all here to help, and it's been a great morning. So well done to all the participants and to yourself, Shirley. And we look forward to helping people on the next stage of their business journey. Okay, so with no further ado, we shall end today's session. Thank you, everybody that has attended. Thank you to any of you that watch on Catch Up. We're delighted to be here, help support you. Please get in touch. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.